Hello, welcome to That Magic podcast, brought to you by Magenta School of Magic.
Oh, you've changed
I know,
it.
look at me, I'm getting hella professional. As we hit episode 7 of season 4, I'm right at the end of the season. I've introduced professionalism.
Oh, well done.
I know, it's a shock to everyone.
But you haven't said. Oh no, you did say episode 7.
I did
so
just
I
now.
wasn't listening.
Just now.
You did.
Yeah, I did. And this one, which is episode 7
Of season 4.
of season 4 of That Magic podcast, brought to you by Magenta School of Magic. Hello!
With all the professionalism that we
just
can muster.
shat on my professionalism.
Sorry.
This one, we're going to be talking about self-actualisation.
Yes.
What is it? What does it mean? How do you do it? How does it apply to magic? And when can I get some more Lego? These are the kind of things that we're going to talk about in this episode.
So we will talk about what it is, absolutely. How you can show up and how you can use magic, but also how it applies in work.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Cool. Music! Self-actualisation.
Yes.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah.
In recent episodes, we've talked about actual implementation of magical practices in real life.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about magic in the workplace, tarot in the boardroom, things like that. We talked last time about whether you need to be spiritual.
Well, yeah, when you can just wake up and go, now
I am magic.
now I am magic.
And how would you go about applying magic?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we talked about a lot, you've talked about a lot in particular, with regards to humanistic magic, is visualization, positive mental attitude, picturing what you want to achieve, making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
To a lay person such as myself, that sounds like self-actualization. Is it? And if not, can you explain a bit more about what self-actualization is?
Oh, I'll have a go. Season 4 seems to be the bit where I'm not an expert. The season of not being an expert.
Okay.
Right. But I will have a go because I don't want to butcher it because it's not my concept. So self-actualization in humanistic counselling was a concept developed by Carl Rogers. And basically he was suggesting that try to get this coherent. He was suggesting that self-actualization or the self-actualizing tendency is something that all humans are striving towards. There are bumps along the way. Now, in another humanistic counsellor's concept, those bumps are described like hierarchies. For example, in Maslow. Maslow also has a self-actualization at the apex of the human experience. His bumps along the way were things like not having certain needs met before you can feel self-actualized, for example. Right? It's slightly different for Carl Rogers. He talks about like unconditional positive regard from other people, like full acceptance of yourself by others, but also it's about accepting yourself and where your ideal self and your in the real world self, how you show up in the world, are very different. That's a bump, to put it simplistically, and you have to work towards trying to draw those two different bits of your own psyche together in order for you to be self-actualized.
Okay, so when we talked previously about magic in the boardroom and stuff, and one of the concepts we talked about was using tarot as the basis for like those personality tests and things like that.
Yeah.
One of those personality tests I've done in the past kind of sought to demonstrate your true self or your you know, unconscious personality.
Yeah.
And then your conscious projection personality that you might put on in the workplace because you feel you need to ramp up certain traits and that sort of thing.
Certain behaviours.
So does that mean if you just had sides that are the same, if you're not ramping up your personality sort of stuff, is that the same sort of thing? It's like just you are who you are, or is it slightly more nuanced?
Well, that is a good example of it, yeah. So where in work you might have a work persona that you take to the office, and there may be that you may have a different persona that you have at home versus a different persona you have when you play sports or when you're with your friends. And it's just how satisfied are you as a person where you've got all of these different bits of yourself floating around in the world? Are you showing up as one person? Do you even accept that is a thing? Are you accepting of yourself enough? For example, are you a different person in work versus, like, are you the complete opposite when you're at home? And do you derive satisfaction from that? Is that living up to your own values and your own beliefs? And maybe you are. Maybe you don't see that. Maybe you don't have that cognitive dissonance where you are reflecting on that in your own time and you find that to be unsatisfactory and not fulfilling to be those two different people. But if you are identifying that, I have to be a certain way at work and I'm not enjoying having to be that way at work, that suggests that that's something that you can address.
Okay, that's helpful. So how does this relate? Because you talked about the humanistic concepts and Rogers and Jung.
Oh,
No,
Carl
not
Jung.
Jung.
He's a different person.
Maslow.
Maslow.
I meant Maslow. I said Jung because I'm not entirely with it. What about magical application then? Mm-hmm. How does that come into it? If you're, as you've talked to self actualisation, how do you apply that to magic, or how is magic applied to self-actualisation? which way round? Is it both?
It could be both, yeah. So from my perspective, I use magic as a tool to help become self-actualised or to help other people become self-actualised. This might show up, for example, in helping people to understand their self-image versus their ideal self, that incongruence between those two spheres, certainly in exploring values, beliefs, what are your challenges, how do you want to show up at work versus how you are actually showing up at work, and trying to bring those things closer together. And when I say I use magic to do that, this is with their consent, and it might just be something as simple as, well, should we have a look at this through the lens of tarot, for example? Or do you want to look at it through some mindfulness exercises? And talking people through those steps, allowing them to close their eyes, asking them a bunch of questions through the meditation, seeing what visions come to them whilst they are relaxed. And this is the sort of thing that we release to subscribers on the website, for example, every Friday a subscriber will get a guided meditation, which is very much geared towards helping people on that self-actualization journey. That there may be other meditations, they're not all that deep, but some of them are. Some of them really are that deep. And so it's about asking people a bunch of questions to help them understand where they are on their own personal development journey. So you can use Magick as a tool in that sense. You could use Magick to help you become self-actualized as well. So this would be something that is done kind of in your own space, in your own time. This wouldn't be something that should necessarily be done to you, like Cinderella and bippity boppity boo. Dunk, you are now self-actualized. Because casting a spell obviously comes from a very personal place, and it involves your own personal beliefs and your own ritual and how you want to show up magically. So, for example, if I was to cast a spell to help myself overcome a particular challenge on my own personal development journey, because the almost air quotes rules of magic that I follow come from astrology, I would be looking at when's the best time to cast a spell to help me with a particular problem. For example, because I use astrology to do that, if I wanted to overcome a challenge or take more responsibility or almost banish certain issues, then I might look to practice magic using the rules that come from astrology, and we would call upon Saturn to do that, because Saturn is the planet that's all around banishing and binding and taking responsibility for things and showing up more authentically. So that's how I would practice magic. I would look at casting a spell that involves all of that, casting it on the right day, which is a Saturday, using the right words that talk about Saturn and owning and overcoming a challenge, owning my responsibility for the challenge existing in the first place, moving through that. And then the ritual will be built around exorcising that particular challenge from my life. And that's how you can use magic to help you on your self-development journey. And again, some of this stuff is released to subscribers on the website. For example, on a Monday, I will release a spell that a practitioner could take and apply to their own life if that resonated with them. For example, it might be a spell about owning the problem or creating more balance in your life somewhere. And so that person can read it and go, okay, great, these are the right words, this is a ritual I can use or adapt, and that's how they can then apply magic in their own life. So it does show up in two ways. Humanistic magic for me is about, well, it's the structure, it's the art and the philosophy, the motivation, if you like, for why I practice magic. But I also recognise that because the humanistic magic concepts I use come from humanistic counselling, they can certainly be applied to help other people. And with their consent, obviously, I do try to do that. Now, at this moment in time, I have only helped a very small handful of people with practical magic, as it were. Only a very small group of people have trusted me enough, which is amazing, but trusted me enough to say, right, this is my particular problem. Will you create me a ritual? Will you tell me the time I should practice this ritual? And then I package it all up and go, there you go. And then it's up to them. But because it's so personal, because the practitioner will have to do the visualization and understand any difficulty they may be going through in order to exorcise a certain challenge from their life, for example. This is why I can't bippity boppity boo dink. Now your problems are gone. You as a practitioner absolutely have to cast your own spells in that regard, but you don't have to do it alone. You can, there are spells on the internet, you can Google stuff, and as long as you come at it from the same sense of belief and how it will help you, there's no reason why that can't work for you. So it is showing up in two different ways for me, this humanistic magic concept.
And so it's something that someone can get help with, but generally needs to take responsibility for themselves. There are lots of different ways of doing it. You mentioned tarot. How would you use tarot for something like this?
So so for example, some people don't know what's wrong. They just feel that, I'm experiencing this and it doesn't feel authentic to me. I mean, for example, at work, you might feel like this isn't satisfying me enough like it used to.
There's a lot of people probably feel like that.
Yeah. So where tarot might come into it is that you can then quiet the mind, sit down with someone and work through by asking them open questions. Okay, so what is it about being in work that you find particularly dissatisfactory? And then you pull some tarot cards, and depending on what card you pull, you can explore the imagery on the card with the person who's asking the question, and 9 times out of 10 you find something that resonates. The last time I did this with somebody, to be honest, I wasn't telling them anything that they hadn't already thought of, and it's almost like they are coming at this from the confirmation. They're having their own worries and beliefs about how they show up at work confirmed, essentially. It's like having a third party come in and go, oh yeah, well, it's obviously this. Like when you go to the doctor, you've got a pain somewhere. 9 times out of 10, you've got a vague idea what's wrong with you, and having the doctor sit there and go, oh yeah, it's definitely this.
Yeah.
It's what's the word, like I can't think of the word, but no, it's gone. My coherence is having a day off today. But basically it's just having somebody kind of back you up with what you think means that you're not going mad, and actually you were right, and you can start to trust your own intuition. It's just, other people find it helpful. But also, for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, they might struggle to be able to see the wood for the trees sometimes. So when you're on your own and you want to have that self-reflection, you can deal the tarot cards for yourself and have a look and see how that resonates with you. To be perfectly honest, I'm pretty terrible at spotting the wood from the trees with, why does this bother me so much? I don't know. And I blame my own astrology chart for that. because of where the moon is in my chart means I often am not aware of my own emotions, and I do struggle with, well, why is this bothering me? And it does take me a while to work it out. And so the tarot cards really helps with that. It's like having a mate that says, is it this? Is it this? Maybe it's this. And you go, oh yeah, it is. Yeah. So that's how tarot can be a tool. So
kind of like testing your thinking, and
like
you said, is it just me or
yeah. Am I being unreasonable?
All right. And presumably you could do similar with Lenormand's asking slightly more specific questions.
Blimey, Lenormand. Yeah, Lenormand is not your kind friend. Lenormand is the damn girl. That's what Lenormand will do. I actually tend to combine Lenormand with tarot a lot. So where I've got this beautiful deck of cards of being very gently leading me there, very slowly, very gently. Oh, well, we'll not frighten her too much. We'll just lead her carefully to the issue that she's not seeing. There'll probably come a point in my own reading where I'll go, oh, do you know what, just tell me, and slap a few Lenormand cards down, and then they'll be like, are you all right?
So what's the benefit? How does it help self-actualization?
What, generally?
Yeah,
the whole
generally,
concept?
and can it help your magical practice as well?
Yes. So the benefit, ultimately, taking humanistic counselling as a concept, of becoming self-actualised, kind of, if you look at the Carl Rogers and the Maslows of this world, basically it means you're a fully functioning human being. Well done. You've got your human being card now. So,
wait, so you're saying if you're not self-actualized, you're not a fully functioning human being?
According to them.
Wow. Harsh.
I know, it is a bit harsh. I mean, you can sort of see how, when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how certain people might not give too much thought to their spiritual development if they're not actually, if they're homeless, for example, that they've got far more pressing issues to address rather than worrying about their spiritual growth, for argument's sake. So when Maslow and Rogers talk about becoming a fully functioning human, to be clear, they were looking at it from a certain point of view. Obviously, they were looking at it from a very Western approach. There will be cultures that exist in the world that are not like our culture. Are they fully functioning people? Of course they are fully functioning people. It's always very important to look at it from that perspective. But in terms of how it's important is because of the way we are in the 21st century. We're always on. We're always busy. We're always living in our own heads.
Yeah.
We don't really take the time to reflect how is life impacting on me? How am I impacting on other people? If we do find ourselves with a problem, it's so easy to go to the doctor and be prescribed something. It's so easy to self-medicate with alcohol, gambling, shopping, whatever it is that helps you, tick the dopamine box in your own head in order for you to get through the day. It's so easy to do all of that. What's not easy is spending time on yourself. For lots of reasons. Mostly we're taught that that's not important and you should be giving to others and you have to complete all of these tasks for other people, for your boss, for your parents, for your kids, for all of this stuff. All of these reasons mean that most of the time we're at the back of the queue when it comes to understanding and helping ourselves. We don't do that. And it's so much easier to just take a Xanax or whatever. So much easier to do that than it is to work on yourself. So the idea being that having a framework like humanistic magic, you can be authentic if you are a magical person. Things like tarot and casting spells and visualization and all of this stuff. So you can be authentic with all of that and still move through your day. You can. It's a framework from which you can explore your own personal development following a system that you already believe in. You're not having to throw your beliefs out the door, sort of thing, in order for you to practice and grow as a person towards becoming a fully functioning human. Not that I think that people can't be fully functioning.
Carl Rogers' certificate of approval.
Exactly.
You have completed humanity. Well done.
Exactly. But in terms of those humanistic counsellors that thought like that, they believed that in order for people to fulfill their true potential and to be happy, it meant that they had achieved self-actualization. And that can show up in at the end of the day. It can show up after you've completed a certain task. It may never show up for you, and that's quite sad. But striving to be self-actualized, striving to be happier in yourself, I think is an important goal, and one that I don't understand why more people don't get behind. More employers should get behind this.
More time should be given over to tarot and meditation.
Just damn right it should, or at least follow the philosophy that actually people might be miserable. Do you want to help them be happy? And then there'll be nice, productive, fully functioning employees for you.
Yeah, exactly. And a 50 quid Asda voucher doesn't necessarily do it.
Jesus, no. A 50 quid Walmart gift certificate doesn't. No, come on, be better. Dear employers of the world, be better.
Cool. Sounds like I should sack this off and go and spend some time on me. Spending time on oneself.
Yep.
We talk a lot about spirituality and things like that, and it can be. And we talked just now about meditation and well-being, mindfulness, all of that sort of stuff. It doesn't have to just be that sort of stuff, though, does it? You're spending time on yourself. It can just be having a hobby.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just writing this down. Otherwise, it will go out of my brain the way it is at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. So I recognise that a lot of what I'm talking about today will be woo and terrifying to most industries.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get some crazy woman like myself in to lead a workshop using cauldrons, and I get it, they're not ready for that.
There's probably a lot of health and safety regulations around why you can't set up a meeting and have like a big bubbling cauldron of fun.
Oh,
sorry.
Really? You think? I mean, well, not everything. You don't have to set fire to everything. I mean, that
implies some things, though.
Some things. I like fire. What can I say? But certainly, okay. So, helping people in the workplace towards self-actualization can certainly involve letting them pursue hobbies and encourage them to talk about that sort of thing. Like, do all meetings have to be about the task at hand? Is there any time in an away day event that you can give to something that's just a bit more fun? I mean, and I don't mean that horrible twee stuff like build a raft and see how well you work together as a team and all of that stuff. No, that's literally nobody's hobby,
just
by the way.
Something.
Yeah. So, sorry,
no,
I was
you
just
go
going to finish my thought.
Go ahead.
The way that humanistic magic really leans on setting intentions, they are often magic-based intentions, like what do I want to achieve? I know I'm going to cast a spell, but what is the point behind it? That can certainly be applied in a work-based environment in terms of your business plan. You've got some intentions, so how are you going to show up for those? You've got some well-meaning intentions, but what is the actual goal behind it, and how do you align that with people's own values and strengths? Have you got the right people delivering the right sorts of objectives? And if people don't know their values and strengths, are you giving them the space to be able to go and find out what it is they're good at, or do you just not think about that? And that's where I would urge employers to start thinking about, are you building teams that fill gaps using people's strengths, or are you just insisting that we put some square pegs in some round holes because that's the way it's always been done?
Yeah.
And so certainly for humanistic approaches and humanistic magic in the workplace, I would show up with tarot cards, let's explore what people's values and strengths are. We can use that. Let's talk people through a guided meditation and see where their values and strengths lie. That's certainly something that can absolutely be done. Personal development is something that can be done through the workplace. You can send people on courses that teach people about how to, how to be more confident, or how to constructively challenge, or even right through to negotiation skills, listening skills. Work-based courses don't have to be about the practical. The tool that I will use today, I need to be taught how to use it, and therefore that's my learning. That's all I need to learn. Now, there are all those soft things that you have to show up, because if you've got a job where you're having to interact with any other human beings, you have to know all of this stuff. You have to be able to have empathy and unconditional positive regard for others, and get away from a blame culture and reward people who are doing well, and move away from the, oh, you didn't deliver that, that's punishable culture that just is toxic. And people will not be fully functioning employees / self-actualised in the workplace if that's the culture in which they have to operate.
Yeah, it's about positive collaboration, compassion, that sort of thing. And that's not to say you can just be all wishy-washy and woolly and, oh, it doesn't matter if anything gets done or not. It's, it's just actually just recognising that, yes, you've got people working for you, and people have people problems and need people help.
They do.
They just
amazingly
treat them like people rather than like robots. That sort of thing.
Exactly.
I like the bit where you talked about self-actualization through hobbies and doing other stuff, which put me. I was thinking of like places like Google, where they have fun things and the capacity for people to do non-work related hobbies and stuff like that within the workplace to kind of help drive productivity and stuff like that. So I think I might go and self-actualize through Lego.
Lego at work. That's a great
idea.
I
meant like in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, sure, Lego at work too. That's a great idea.
It's funny you should say that, because one of my many crazy suggestions that are always rejected, apart from the first time they let me organise an all-staff event, they've constantly rejected me and put my hand up. I've got an idea of things we can do. One of the things I did suggest, that we had Lego workshop, we had Lego mindfulness at the last. No, we're not doing that.
I think probably because Lego's so damn expensive now, more than anything else.
Maybe. Are we allowed to talk about Lego? I mean, it's a brand. Clicky bricks. Bricks that click together. No, fuck it, Lego.
Lego's fine.
We're not sponsored by Lego.
Yet. If Lego want to sponsor us, that's
they
fine.
can.
They're more than welcome to. I'll gladly take some free Lego sets in exchange for some Lego pimping on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm sure there are genuine Lego podcasts that get all of that good stuff. Yeah. Maybe you should start a Lego podcast.
Cool, I'll see you later.
But just before we go, and I was just going to circle back to your self-actualization can be achieved through hobbies. I think in certain industries, I think people are now starting to recognise that creativity and innovation can be achieved if you just give people the space to do that. And you mentioned about companies like Google that might have a floor that's just got ping pong tables on it or whatever. I don't know. I've never been to Google. It probably doesn't. It's probably just as shit as everyone else, to be
cubicle
honest.
upon cubicle upon
just
cubicle.
long dead rows.
Like the Matrix, there's all the people, the humans that just plugged in as batteries, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But
that's part of their marketing, is that they make people think that they're just this wacky.
But they get to sit on a beanbag.
Beanbags, and get to ride around all day on segways.
We've never been.
To their we've never.
We'll
been.
happily go.
If you want to give us a tour of Google. But yeah, so certainly I hear tell of companies that like to allow their employees to do just that. But I don't know if it's in breaks. I don't know if you're allowed to just go, oh, do you know what? I've been sat staring at this screen for such a long time. I've got to go and
decompress, self-actualize
for 3
somewhere
hours
else
before I can come back. So from my own perspective, so these are my own personal experience, because I don't work in an industry that actually recognises that I am a human and has an authentic self that would like to show up to work being myself. My industry would probably not be doing anything like that. So I have to take my own steps. There are sneaky things that people can do. They can, for example, you can do meetings outside. You can just have your meeting and go outside. And as long as you find yourself in nature, you can take your shoes and socks off. You can just feel, and it just connecting to the ground or laying on the ground in a natural environment can actually stimulate the other bits of your brain, the more creative bits of your brain, so that when you're in your meeting, you might actually find yourself being a bit more chill, being able to tap into some innovative solution to help whilst you're in that meeting. Actually, from my perspective, I think it makes you a better employee if you take time out for yourself in that way, whether that's taking time out to play on the PlayStation, or whether it's just going for a walk, or whether you combine the two, like I have to do, doing the Lego in your meetings. I mean, if we are still working from home, and if you're in an industry that allows you to work from home, who's going to know? Who's going to know that you've been building some Lego whilst you've been stuck on a problem? No one's going to know that. So, yeah, do it. Tell them I said you could.
And on that bombshell, I'm off to dial into a meeting and do some Lego.
All right.
What's that rattling noise? Nothing. Nothing at all. Cool.
Do you have any more questions?
I don't think I do.
That's
good.
Self-actualisation. Now you know what it is.
Now I know what it
and
is.
how to get there.
I'm going to go and do it.
Lego is the answer.
Lego is the answer. Exactly. You hear that, Lego? Send sets. Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much.
That's it. That's our show.
Subscribe to our website to receive free articles, downloadable spells and guided meditations. Start your magical tuition today at magentaschoolofmagic.com.